Welcome to the FPL USA Press Play Podcast. It's Bucks. I'm joined with Brian for some good old shenanigans on a Tuesday. Pod partner, how the hell are you?
It's going up on a Tuesday, just like our green arrows this week, Bucks. So thankfully, some jam happened this week, some luck, some lucky clovers and blue moons all happened at the same time. So good to be potting with you today. And we have Champions League midweek and then more fixtures. Let's go.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the Champions League right now, so we've already seen Liverpool play. They continue their strong form, but they were extra rested because I don't know if you saw this, Brian, but when the
What
UK
happened?
completed Yeah, when the UK completed Brexit, I didn't realize they turned into France. They got super soft.
What was it? 80-mile-per-hour gusts of wind. How many kilometers per hour is that? What do they
Yeah, I
use
thought,
there?
the fans had to travel a whopping 2.5 miles across town. But yeah, looked like it was a little windy and a little wet, and the Merseyside derby got stuck in the mud. So that match was canceled. And I think a lot of managers had some chaotic experiences around the deadline because very ponderous experience where the official FPL game did not push back the deadline. I slept in. As soon as I saw it was going to be postponed, I was like, all right, no need to wake up. I can wait
Exactly.
till a couple more hours. Not so.
Well, that would require FPL Towers and their dev team to actually update the game based on real world happenings, and that's a hard thing for them to do. So, no extended deadline for us. But I was one of those people who was up late on Friday night just waiting to hear the news, was bantering back and forth with a few other FPL USA folks who were still awake, waiting to see what the F was going to happen with that match. And by the time it got canceled, I just was like, I'm so tired. It was like 12:30 on the West Coast. I just said, screw it. I'm just going to roll. And that ended up being a very, very lucky situation for my team.
Yeah, I don't think you were the only one that was counting their luck and their bench jam points. Uh, so there were a lot of auto subs just right off the top rope from the start of the game week. I know I had Mo Salah in my starting 11. Immediately he goes to the bench, and Mbomo comes in, one of the shocking standout players of the game week, with 13 points. I'll
Woo.
take that every day of the week. About time my luck turns good again. And that's a long way of saying that I land on a fat green arrow with 75 total points. I was on a big green arrow. I was into the top million at one point. That was before the last couple matches of the game week. Specifically, that Wolves West Ham game was a little chaotic for my rank. But overall, I went from, deep in the trenches in the 2.5 million range. Now I'm all the way clawed up to 1.5 million. So this was a really good game week for me. And Mbomo was one of my stars for sure.
Big rise. Well done. Well done. We'll jump over to my team. I fielded 10 men and netted 71 points. Luckily for me, I would have captained Salah, but since I got the news late, I went with our boy, Cole Palmer. He comes through with a jammy 18-pointer, two penalties, and a FPL assist, which was a terrible shot that got deflected. So very fortunate for those owners who ended up captaining Palmer. But if you captain Saka instead, just a big amount of variance there because he had a goal at least, and that would have closed the gap between the two players. But I think, what was it? Martinelli was a foot offside, a couple inches offside. So he blanks there. So really tough for those owners. And then I had Bumo coming into my team as well. I might have probably benched him for Semenyo, but both of those guys are short on my team. They're getting that axe soon. And now, lo and behold, I have 3 transfers and already have Isak in place for an upcoming run. So I'm kind of stockpiling transfers at the moment and not sure where I'm going to go with my team, but all good. I got a 47% rank rise and I am in the top 60K OR.
Wow, you love to see that. So two big green arrows. How did Black Wolf do, Brian? I know he's in active recovery, both from his real life football team, the Wolves, from I think he almost broke his neck trying to just throw the manager out the window himself from a moving train. But also he's recovering. He's been going through some health challenges, so we're happy to see he's getting the care he needs and he's putting himself first, which we're all about here on the podcast. So, did he complete the set? Did we go 3 for 3 on the green arrows?
We did go 3 for 3. He ended up
Boom.
on 64 points and he is up to 800K OR. So he's in a good spot, continuing his rise. He had Palmer capped as well. So good to see our secondary Chelsea Blues fan join us there for sure.
Yeah, so there was a lot of luck for managers that had Salah captain with Palmer vice captain. Because I think with the Merseyside derby getting rescheduled, the clear game of the weekend was that London derby, which saw Chelsea travel to play against Spurs. Spurs jump out to a 2-0 lead on two Gerrard-esque slips from Cucurella.
Oh
Only
my goodness.
I'm
Those were
taking
like,
shots everywhere. They were so
those,
bad.
those were comical, man. It's just like, the weather is shit. What happened to the cleats that he chose? Did he just pick the wrong ones?
No, I think honestly, it was you train in the cleats you're going to wear. So he practiced in it. I think the switching the cleats was a convenient excuse. He definitely played much better with the longer studs in. But he slipped on two banana peels, leading directly to two goals. I think otherwise, outside the first 15 minutes, Chelsea were extremely dominant in that match, very deserving of the 4-3 victory. And Palmer was the star. So a lot of FPL managers kind of stumble their way into huge point returns this game week, especially if you had that Palmer captaincy. That's for sure.
Being on pens is a good thing, and especially with this pile up, we're going to see lots of penalties across the league. So some really poor decisions by the Spurs lads. I could not believe, you're shoving people in the back when they're on the edge of the box. I mean, what is going on? What is going through their minds?
Yeah, Sar had a shocker of an afternoon. But another team that I think really let most managers down was Arsenal. I think we should just quickly double click on the other top team in London that wears red because they went and played a really down in the dumps match against Fulham. And this ends up being 1-1. But if you watch that match, Arsenal had the goal through Bukayo Saka. It was in the back of the net. Now, Martinelli was clearly offsides. He had no reason to be in that position in the build up to that goal. So
Well, I
that's a
mean,
real,
he's not very good, so of course he's fucking
well,
around
he's
on the
very
wing.
fast. So it's like these really fast players that are caught off sides. That's inexcusable because you're trying to cheat. You're trying to be a little lazy and be a couple steps off. So deservedly, they didn't get that goal. Now that would have been really big for a lot of FPL managers. But more importantly, Arsenal dropped points. And in a weekend where Liverpool don't play and they're clear and far away at the top, to drop points and let Chelsea nose ahead, that has to be really psychologically damaging for many Arsenal fans and also for their title challenge. If they can't be the best team in London, how could they be the best team in the Premier League? You know what I mean?
You would say that as a Chelsea Blues apologist and celebrant, but I will
Never
say that
apologize.
I will say that Jimenez's strike was absolutely delicious. It was a great goal by the team, and Fulham is just a solid outfit. Like, I don't think they're going to go into this upcoming fixture versus Liverpool and get rolled over. I think they can score a scrappy goal against anyone, and they usually don't concede too many goals outside of that random Wolves fixture, which is still like an anomaly.
Agreed. I think they're a solid mid-table team. But if you look at the stats, they put up quite a fight against Arsenal. So I thought that was more even of a match than I was expecting. Definitely than what we projected. And yeah, Arsenal just got a little caught out. Uh, they showed up for a knife fight, and it looked like, Fulham might have backed out the bazooka for in that opening first half.
And those players who had Saliba get back-to-back goals from the lad. Where is Gabriel? He does not start in this one. I couldn't even get Greaves to come off my bench. Mother bleeper, I feel 10 men. And if you have Gabs, you probably just got to hold him. Like, I don't think it's worth a precious transfer. He should be back soon. We will have Champions League matches tomorrow on Wednesday, and hopefully that'll give us a good identifier, excuse me, of if Gabs is going to play. So it's not worth a transfer, right?
Totally agree. I think he's an elite defensive asset with attacking potential when he's fit. And you got to just hope that he'll be fit. If not for game week 16, then definitely by game week 17. So agree with you on all fronts there. And I think at that point, let's just shout out the manager of the game week, because this is a manager that basically didn't put a foot wrong the entire weekend. And that's Major League Soccer. And that's Robert Shore. 94 points. Unfreaking believable performance here. I just look at
MLS.
this. Yeah. Well, this is the good MLS as opposed to the one that's stateside, rising all the way up to 2,250 in the world with this 90.
Holy cripes. I just pulled this up too, and I was looking at his team like, all right, nice score. And then I looked at his OR. Wow, that is shocking.
Yeah, I mean, the differential here, he still has Bruno Fernandez. He captained Palmer and Bomo. Then he had Vardy and Jamie Vardy. We should just give a quick shout out to Leicester and their performance. They rocked Brighton's world in the last 10 minutes there of that match. He had Pedro Porro with an assist. He had Konza with a return. Just brilliant, beautiful stuff when you look at this team sheet and all these points he's collecting. He basically has more points than I had in 2 weeks in 1 week based on this performance.
Yeah, well done to you, Robert. And we'd love to have those community friends join our mini league and really help boost our numbers, because 2.2K overall, that's nosebleed territory. If you're in that spot, you're hoping to win.
I agree. And keep making the right captaincy decision. You might find yourself there by the end of it all. So I think with that, we've touched a lot on the big happenings in game week 15. With that, let's take our first break. When we come back, we'll dive into the action to look forward to in game week 16.
And we are back. Time to fast forward and preview game week 16. We have a number of matches coming up and a 3-day match week. So, Bucks, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we got a lot of action. Where do you want to start here in terms of the FPL hauls to come?
Sure. I think there are a lot of delicious looking lopsided fixtures in this weekend's slate. Starting with the opening match, we have Everton. They're going to be well rested, but they're traveling to play against Arsenal. And I think Arsenal are going to be super motivated, assuming they can stay fit in Champions League. This almost is a must win statement kind of match. They're in the early fixture. They're going to be going up against a lesser opponent at home. And Arsenal just tend to be a better team, specifically from the attacking front in front of the home stadium. So I think Arsenal have enough. They get this done 3-0.
Wow, 3 after playing midweek. I think they have a pretty good fixture in Champions League, so hopefully they'll get some rest for Saka. Although he'll probably just play 95 minutes like usual. But yeah, I'm really hoping Gabriel is back. I've been tripled up on Arsenal, and so I need those guys to come good. But they have such a good upcoming run here. Everton, Crystal Palace, Ipswich. They got to clean 2 out of 3 of these to make my double defense worth it.
Yeah, I think you're going to get one of those clean sheets in this match. Now, next up, we just touched on it. Fulham traveled to Liverpool. Also a team, they just had their break over this past weekend. They played in Champions League. Got a deserved 1-0 victory. Allison is back fit. I think that's big news if you're a Liverpool fan. That will surely only improve their defense, which is already top of the league. And Fulham, listen, they're coming off a big high, getting a point off Arsenal at home. But this is a totally different environment, totally different beast, traveling to play Liverpool at Anfield in the current form they're in. So I think Fulham nick one, but I think this is 3-1 to the hosts.
I'm going to go with a 2-1 for Liverpool. And
Oh,
that puts me most likely off of Mo Salah cap. Just giving some respect to Fulham, and I've done that earlier in the season as well. I went with a differential cap when Man City was playing Fulham earlier, and I went with Saka in that game week. So I think I'm gonna do the same thing and just hope that they can stymie Mr. Mo Salah. And you know who he's up against on the left, right?
yeah, Jedi. It's going to be a awesome, arguably the best versus the best in a positional matchup. Best
Yeah,
right winger.
Jedi's playing really well. He's playing really well right now. He's in the prime of his career.
And from a stats perspective, he's the best left back in the league when it comes to defensive metrics. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah, great motor on him, and he doesn't tear his hamstrings like so many other
Oh my God. You went
fullbacks.
there. You went there. Two more to cover. Let's go. The Foxes, Leicester. They're feeling a little foxy with the new coach involved. I saw he was scratching his beard. He was touching his very fancy looking peacoat. Leicester go to Newcastle. Now, Newcastle at home are a bit of a wagon. Has to deal with the home crowd. Also, the field is on an incline. It's just not a nice place to play away at. And so I think Newcastle have enough. I don't have Isak in my team. I'm terrified of what he might do to the Foxy defense because they're not strong in the defensive perspective by any means. They're absolutely get atable. So I think this is 2-0 to the hosts.
I'm going to go with a 3-1. I think we've seen Leicester be very spark pluggy, to be honest. They've scored in almost all their matches this season. And I mean, you have Hall in your team, right? What's been going on with that Newcastle defense? They've let up 3 and 4 goals in the
They
last couple
suck.
matches. Ugh. Every defense though is just it's utter trash. I don't know why we have to play. We have to select 5 defenders. So I could do with 4 defenders and more forwards or something. But
Yeah. If it's
I mean,
not Liverpool or Arsenal, you might as well just not waste your time. Bring any of these guys in.
yeah, I feel you got the first Pau Gasol freaking clean sheet this week. I can't believe Villa were the only team to clean this entire weekend. Yeah.
Hey, I'm not giving those points
Paw
back, no matter what
Torres.
you tell me.
Paw Torres. Wow. All right.
Last one
Uh
here. Last one for the imbalanced matchups. That's Spurs traveling to play the Saints. Now, both these teams are in a bit of a wobble. Now, Southampton's wobble
Wobble,
has
baby,
been
wobble.
lasting all
Wobble, baby,
season.
wobble.
Yeah, they're dropping it low in regards to where their position is on the table, let alone their offensive output. And I think Spurs need a get right game. If the team doesn't, then for sure the coach does. So I think Ange, he releases he releases whatever those down under scary beasts are, like the kangaroo, koala bear. He releases
Oh
all of
yeah.
them
All the
onto the Saints.
marsupials, very scary. You got to go with the wild black widow spiders or huntsman spiders. You got to go with those creatures that could kill you.
Yikes! I think they absolutely tear apart Southampton. The coach, he's playing a little bit of a game, I think, for his long term career versus their safety in the league based on the way that they're playing at the back. So I think there's going to be tons of chances for Spurs to get shots on goal. I think this could be 4-1 to the visitors.
Man, who's scoring all these goals? I'm very curious.
Hopefully, Solanke. I
Solanke?
mean, a man can dream.
What's his ownership now? He's got to be a differential because most people have moved him to Nico Jackson or the likes of Isak. So he's definitely a good differential this week. Do we know if Brennan Johnson is going to play in this one? Because I know he went off midweek as well. So curious to see if he'll be fit to play this one. But I agree. 4-1 sounds about right. And I think there could be a Pedro Porro haul coming.
Don't tempt some of our FPL USA listeners with a good time here. Now, regarding Solanke's ownership, he's dropped below 10%. So I
Yeah.
think he could be a spicy differential captain if you're bold enough to go there.
Yeah, I just don't like captaining anybody that's not on penalties. And just like you saw with a couple of games this season, you fall ass backwards into a Mo penalty or a Cole Palmer penalty, and at least your floor is like 10 points in those matches. So, yeah, I don't know about it.
All right, almost done here. Let's go to the matches to target. If you're just a neutral fan, you're looking for some good footy to watch, kind of the best of the Premier League has to offer. We could start with the Manchester Derby. Now, I think this is one of the more interesting derbies we've had in a couple years now because Amarin has put some spark back into Manchester United. Now, they looked like they were without flame and definitely without timber when it came to playing against the Forest lads who just smashed them at home 3-2. But Manchester City, this is a pretty good time to be playing against them.
The
So
best
I
time.
think, it would have been better a couple weeks ago, but I think this is a more even fight. So I actually think this is going to be a much tighter match than we might have expected looking at the fixture ticker a couple game weeks ago. I think 2-1 to the hosts. I think City have just enough, but I don't think that this is going to be a comprehensive drubbing like the Blues have been putting on the Reds for the last couple years now.
Yeah, Manchester United, I feel like their Achilles heel is set pieces, and City are terrible at set pieces. They have no threat. Holland's not very good in the air, and the rest of their team are very short. So, one of those things that could usually hurt Manchester United, I don't think that the citizens have. So, we'll see if KDB can get back to form and start threading some needles into Holland. Ultimately, yeah, I think 3-1 for City. I feel like they have a good moment here with Champions League and then playing Manchester United. But I really like what they're doing with Ammer and Ball. They're basically putting their whole squad on notice. You better fucking show up, train hard. You'll get your chance on the pitch, and then we'll see where they're at. It's basically a debut for next season. Are you going to be on this squad? Are you going to fit in to positions? So there's been a few standouts so far. I've liking what I'm seeing from Ahmad, who I know is playing in that wing back slot. He's like 5.1 million. So he's still on my watch list potentially to bring in for a cheap enabler.
Totally agree. Now, I will say that should just be the standard because these guys are professional athletes getting paid buku amounts of money every week. Maybe the minimum expectation is to train hard and give it all for your club.
Oh, come
But
on.
I
Wait,
guess at
you're
Manchester
talking
United, that's
you're talking about cuckoo amounts. Your city of New York is spending $18 billion on baseball players left and right. That's cuckoo amounts.
how can I be mad at that when the Chelsea project is going so well? The only thing I'm disappointed is not going to my Yankees. It's going to the stepchild of the Los Mets. I do not like that as a Yankee fan myself. Shout out FPL Patrick S. Me and him are big Yankee fans. I know there's a bunch of us in the hashtag FPL USA community. So the Manchester Derby, that's definitely a watch. I think everyone who knows ball will be tuned into that. Now, under the radar, Aston Villa playing against Nottingham Forest. That has turned into kind of a heavyweight title fight right now. Aston Villa having a really strong campaign in UCL, less so in the league, and Nottingham Forest kind of coming out of nowhere to be one of the challengers for European football this year under Nuno with Chris Wood leading the line. Now, with them at
Chris
home,
Wood. Oh my God, this guy, he keeps scoring. I thought it was a good time to fade him, and so I took him out for João Pedro to fund some other moves, and he just keeps delivering penalties, header goals, just a meat and potato striker that keeps delivering on the menu. Very much impressive from Forrest so far.
yeah, but I think the Forest is not going to keep a clean sheet in this one, even though they're at home. I think this has the markings of a 1-1 or 2-1 kind of match all over it. I don't know. It just seems like the fortune is favoring Forest right now. I think it's 1-1, but my sense is maybe they have enough to get it done.
I feel like Villa have been playing better in UCL than they have in the league, which is, up to each their own, right? If you're in Champions League for the first time in decades, like to prioritize that, I can understand, but kind of curious to see who's going to come out to play for this one. And Duran scores again in Champions League. He still wants to get more minutes off of Watkins. Yeah, it'll be an interesting match. I'm not sure. I think it's gonna be a 2-2 draw.
Okay, you think there's more goals in this. I rate that. Now I do have to just let's just address that point you just made about them really going for it in Champions League. This is a historically great and big club. And they haven't been in the Champions League uh definitely not in our lifetime. So I really rate it. And based on their position in the table, probably safe to say they're already safe from relegation. So, right, if they're not going to win the league and they have a chance
Yeah, it's
to,
fair.
really challenge for Champions League, the time to really go for glory is in the Champions League. And I think they can still get some results here and there in the Premier League and stay close to the top. But if they're pouring it all into Champions League, that really gives them the chance for the stuff of legends. So I think at least while we're still in December, that's a viable strategy. Maybe as we get towards, late February, March, they're going to have to choose one path or another to really dedicate resources to.
Man, Morgan Rogers played another 90 minutes today. He's getting flogged, man. It's pretty crazy. I'm just waiting for him to get one single rest in the Premier League, and it hasn't happened yet.
Is he the
Bizarre.
new Bukayo Saka? He's a British lad who just likes to show up to work.
Yeah, he's starting. I mean, he's similar age profile, so just curious for when that rotation will be coming. All right, next up, Bucks. I think you should have probably moved this match. Chelsea versus Brentford. I think this could have been in the FPL matches to target, but this should be a high scoring affair, right?
There should be goals in this one. Now, I think
I think there'll be 7 goals. 7.
wow. Wowzers. We did not go over that in the preview to this when we were prepping. I don't
Brentford
know if
are
I see
they're fucking miserable from home. I think I sent you that graph the other day of teams' performances at home versus away, and it was polar opposites for Brentford. They are great at the G Tech wherever they play, and right now they're bottom 3 for away form. So only Southampton I think was worse.
yeah, they're the best in the league at home at the G Tech, like you said, in London. Now, when they have to pack it up and jump on the bus or jump on a plane, they might as well be getting relegated. That being said, Brentford have played Chelsea really tough in the last couple seasons. I
We
don't
need
think Chelsea.
revenge, Bucks. We need revenge.
Listen, I would love to see it. No one would be more game for it than I am. But I don't think Chelsea have gotten a win in the last 5 matches against Brentford. I think might be even longer, but I'm going to say 5 as a
Oof.
baseline. And like you said, I just think there's going to be goals here, so it's a tough one to predict. But listen, I'm always going to be a little not so subtly biased here. But I think Chelsea have enough. I think they win 4-1.
What's up with Nico Jackson? N dot. You had a pretty rough game versus Spuds.
Yeah, a little forgettable, but I really like the passion that he shows. And you could tell he loves Chelsea. He actually kept Enzo from getting a yellow card when he was celebrating. I
that
don't know if you saw.
that was the only good thing he did of the game week.
He was like one of these over drunk bridesmaids at one of your friends' weddings. He was like,
Woo!
carrying on to the bride's tail of her dress, just trying to not fall over and make sure that, there's no nip slips or anything like that from Enzo. So that was great to see. And honestly, he wasn't really needed to do the goals, but I thought he was getting in great positions. I always rate the effort that he puts in. And for me, as long as you're working really hard as a standalone striker and you're pressing like a maniac, the goals are just kind of a bonus. Now Nkunku, when he came on, I'm still waiting to see a lot more from this guy. I mean, he does not run the way that Jackson does, and I think that's the only thing that's keeping him out of the starting 11. You agree?
I think there'll be a time. There'll be a time when they are splitting a lot more of those starts, but that is not where we're currently at. And with that being said, the fixture run is just so good for Chelsea and Nico Jackson on those 4 yellow cards. Hopefully, he will be able to stay away from them. He's definitely not been in the ears of the refereeing crew as much, right? So he knows he's on 4 and he doesn't want to lose his starting spot to Christoph Nkunku. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, I think there are going to be a ton of goals in this one. And what are your thoughts on Enzo as a potential enabler? Do you rate him as over the likes of Ahmad or those other cheap guys like Morgan Rogers?
Yeah, I've changed my tune 180 degrees on this. I was not keen on the move last episode when we recorded, and now I think it's a brilliant get. He's still only 5 million. If you want to get a player like Isak or Trent in, you're going to need to make a sacrifice somewhere. So I think a move like Mbomo to Enzo and someone, I don't know who your third forward is. Maybe if you have Raul Jimenez, you move him up to Isak if that stretches the budget enough. Or if you have someone like Rico Lewis, who just got a red card, you can stretch all the way to Trent. I think both those moves make a lot of sense from where we're sitting right now, based on where Enzo is playing in the starting 11. So I think he's making a real impact as a second number 10. And when all the attention is on Cole Palmer, kind of just frees up that entire side of the pitch to be forgotten about. And Enzo is capitalizing in a big way. He's getting into great positions, and he was a maniac actually in that match against Spurs. He was causing them problems in the defensive half. Then he was pulling the ball forward, and then he hit that cracker from right outside the box. That was a beauty.
Cracker.
One last match I do want to shout out. This is Ipswich at Wolves. Now, if you are a Cunha owner, which unfortunately I am not, but I know many in the community went there in a big way, he's blank now in 3 straight matches. He was very frustrating to watch in that West Ham game. Now, I don't think
I,
you panic sell him.
I felt bad for Black Wolf, of course, just to see this pain and not get any penalty shouts. There's 2 possible penalty shouts. Maybe Cunha would have taken it, maybe he wouldn't have, but we'll never know because VAR hates the Wolves.
PGMOL has no love for the Wolves by any means. They might not like mustard, the color. They might not like the animal. I don't know what their bias is, but it's very clear and evident. And so, without Black Wolf, I think that just concludes our quick Wolves corner. Brian, you want to take a quick sec? Let's howl at the moon in his honor. Oh,
Got to get that Riyadh 8 Nori 4-pointer this week. Little cheeky assist to Doherty. So in Black Wolf we trust, but I'm losing faith in these assets after the next 3 game weeks. But they're firm holds for me. Ipswich home, Leicester away, and then it gets harder after 18. So I'm already trying to stockpile transfers to get these guys out of my team and leave the Wolves to Mr. Dan.
all right. I think with that, let's take our final break. When we come back, we'll answer some community questions from hashtag FPL and hashtag FPL USA. And we'll also preview our transfer plans and captaincy shouts.
Shout it out, shout it out, shout it out. Time for the mailbag. Thank you to everyone who engages with us on a consistent basis on our hashtag FPL community questions. So, where do we start, Bucks? I feel like we have a few interesting questions, and the watch list continues to expand. And many managers have multiple transfers to use after rolling in game week 15. So, what do we got here? Who's up first?
Yeah, let's start with my Cayman fan, aka Matt. He's asking what our thoughts are on Flecken versus the other cheapy goalkeepers. Now, he's looking specifically for keepers 4.6 million and below.
I mean, Flecken just came off a 3-point assist, a big performance.
No clean sheets really for Brentford to be seen, but Flecken is probably the best save point earner in the FPL game. And right now, he's a better attacking asset than many, 6.5 million mids. He has 2 assists on the season. That's one more than Mason Mount has goal and assist involvements for Manchester United. Not pulling my shots anytime soon here on that transfer move. So I think Flecken, you got to probably keep him. You just grit your teeth and keep him. Now,
I mean,
Brian, you
like
taught me in my first
you
season, right? Goalkeeper transfers, no way, Jose.
especially 4.6 and under. I mean, you can't get Pickford, Onana, those are historically decent shot stoppers and keepers in FPL, but those are more expensive. So just hold on to this guy until your first wild card. It's just not worth the upside. And the entire game week 15. There was one clean sheet, a single clean sheet. So what you're using a precious transfer for what? For what? Absolutely nothing.
Agreed. Now, one player I would be interested to see if you could stretch to is Allison, but he's much more expensive,
Oh my God,
5.4 million.
he's a
Now,
luxury I've never had before.
yeah, and I was thinking maybe he price dropped a couple times because he had
Barely.
came back from injury and then he got re-injured right away.
I think he got
Uh,
locked on the
not
price.
Yeah, I was gonna say not the case. Looks like he got price locked almost immediately. So he could be a good option if he's back fit for sure. Probably rules out Kelleher as a good option, and he was really the one I wanted to recommend because Kelleher's been putting in a shift. 4.6 million fits
Hey,
exactly the bill.
why don't we get this guy at Chelsea? I mean, Bob the Monster. Ugh, this guy's utter trash.
Uh,
He
because he's
keeps putting his team.
4.8 million, Brian. Can you believe that?
Oh, I know. I'm just saying in general for next season. Can we get Kelleher at Chelsea?
No, we have 8 goalkeepers.
And they all suck.
Let's,
Oh, they're
yeah,
terrible.
who
They
knows?
make me
Who
so
knows?
frustrated. Well, yeah, like you said, don't make goalkeeper transfers. Just hold on to Flecken. It's a low ceiling spot. It's not a big deal. Plus, nobody else is really getting points from that position. So maybe you'll fall ass backwards into a penalty save and you'll be on your way until next wild card.
Yeah, and there's not really even any like discount double check darlings in the mix at the goalkeeper position this season. I mean, you could say Fraser Forster because he's now going to be starting for the foreseeable future for Spurs. But with the state of their defense and the state of their play style, I mean, getting a $4.3 million keeper in the FPL game normally would seem like such a great idea and a bargain. But that guy's not going to keep any clean sheets either. So it's like you're picking between bad and worse.
Yeah, I would probably go with Sells. That's my shout if it has to be 4.6 or under. But I know you have Verbruggen. He's been sucking it up lately. Your confidence in Verbruggen, like psychologically, incepted me
Negative.
to go for Van Heck, and I'm watching these Brighton matches. These bunch of dopes. Oh my goodness, I hate
I'll say
Brighton.
this Verbruggen was going to be on for a nice haul until those last 10 minutes. I
Oh,
have
really?
no idea what happened there. I was watching that game and,
Yeah.
I was like switched
What the
off
f,
playing with my kids. All of a sudden, you know, Jamie Vardy, who's literally 100 years old, he's the crypt keeper. Him,
dude? He's the dream for us. Sub. Around the 40-year-old marks of our age and our careers in sporting. He just keeps getting it done. The ageless wonder.
imagine in a couple years when he sneaks up and registers under a fake name for a beer league and he's like 42 and he's piss drunk and he's just banging in 10 goals a game,
Oh,
like
just
running these guys into the ground.
vodka Red Bulls straight into the veins, and then he's just gonna come out in Sunday beer league and just destroy everybody.
Ah, what a fun player. Now, yeah, Verbruggen stinks. Don't go there if you're even thinking about a goalkeeper transfer. Similar to defenders, I really think it's just Raya or Cheapy. But I like the shout that you mentioned, Onana and Pickford. Now the fixtures are not there for either of those guys, so
No,
it's real
they're
slim pickings.
terrible. They're terrible for Pickford. They're miserable because I'm a Mikolenko owner and I've looked at those fixtures. They're terrible. So I would say Onana has a decent chance, but he's got howlers in him. All right, this is too much goalkeeper chat. Let's go next to friend of the show at FPL Paz. He wants to know what to do with Gabrielle. Just wait and see.
Yeah, keep. We'll have two press conferences. We'll have a lot more information before the weekend. Arsenal are technically the early match, even though there is no early match in game week 16. So we'll probably have a presser from Mikel Arteta on Friday where he tells us absolutely nothing. But we'll definitely get to see a preview of who's fit and who's not in the squad when they play Champions League on Wednesday. So he's not a panic move for me. I think, like I said earlier, if he's not fit this game week, gets another week of rest, he'll be fit in 17.
Yeah, I think it's tough if you're relying on him to start. Like if you're in a situation where you might have Rico Lewis who is suspended this week, and then you have like Reeves and another like shitty 4-5, maybe you're forced into making a single defensive transfer. And I guess I would just move him sideways to Timber at this point. That's probably the route I would go. if you had to. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, using defensive transfers right now, unless it's essential to free up money, I just don't rate it. Right now, it's too hard to predict when the cleans are going to come, and there's only two good teams. So I guess if you move Gabriel to up, if you moved him up to VVD perhaps or Trent, but even then, I'm just like, just hold him and wait till he gets back because he's got 15-point dongs in him.
Yeah, he's the best goal scoring defender in the league, bar none. It's not even close. His XG is so much better than all the other center backs, for sure. And then Trent is a unicorn, so he has that assist potential, which Gabriel does not offer. But he's the most unstoppable force in that Arsenal set piece threat. And, just his big head just kind of barging over everyone else. It's like me on Black Friday.
And speaking of Black and Black Wolf, he asked a question about are there any points to even using free transfers on defenders? So this is just goes in line with the other questions that we've answered. Just roll. Even if you're down a man, I just fielded 10 and still got a 45% green arrow. So I just don't see any value in outside of Arsenal and Liverpool. So I agree with Black Wolf there. And he, I believe, has Trent in place potentially. So
Yeah,
I'm
he does.
jealous for
I'm
anybody.
jealous.
Yeah. I mean that's
Black
the other
Wolf's
thing. The
loyalty.
other
I sold Trent like he was a cheap date, and Black Wolf, he's kept him shining in his cupboard. He's gotten a couple of returns now, and yeah, he's a step ahead of most in that department for sure.
All right, next up we have a question from FPL Patrick S. Good week to branch from Masala permacap, and then an asterisk on game weeks which he has a fixture. So I have a big appetite, and I think this rolls right into our captaincy shouts and transfer plans. So Bucks, are you on Salah or Palmer?
I'll be Palmer Cap. I've been loyal to my blue brother the last 3 game weeks, and I'm going to stay that way. I think he has the best fixture. He's home, playing the worst of the defense. Now, I actually think the best vice captain is actually Saka, not Salah. But I have
Yeah.
been proven wrong on that. And if anyone who listens to this show for the long haul knows, I am not Saka's biggest fan. I think he's more of an assist merchant than he is a goal scorer. One of these days, Mo Salah is going to get some rest and he's not going to get a gimme penalty. So I don't know when that's going to be. And I think Liverpool probably have enough where he gets 70 minutes, gets one goal involvement, gets an early hook to rest for all the matches they have to come. And they still get the 3 points. That's just the season they're having. Everything is going right for them. So I actually think comfortably Palmer is well ahead of the rest when it comes to captaincy this game week.
Yeah, Mo had another pen in UCL this week in a 1-0 win versus Girona.
Played the
So
whole fixture though.
yeah, played 90 again. Bizarre to me. But anyway, they have no replacement for him. Chiesa is dead. I don't know what happened to that guy. He's actually like not a bad player, but I guess he's just not going to be fit or play at all for Liverpool, and he's just going to go back to the Italian third league. And is that it? Is that his career path?
Brian, you've been to a lot of places around the world. So like when you travel and you've been spending a lot of time in
Federico
Italy,
Chiesa.
he's getting fat on the delicious food, taking long walks in Italy. All of a sudden, he ends up in Liverpool, where there's 80-kilometer-per-hour winds. It's
Yeah,
always cold and raining on match days. This guy has strategically positioned
he's
himself in the
dodging.
training
He's
room.
dodging him.
Yeah, he doesn't want to wear those thin jerseys and heat tech underneath. He doesn't want to be chilly. He doesn't want to have to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or, power putty before the game. He wants to eat baguettes and yummy pasta with sauce. That is Federico Chiesa's life, and he lives a good one.
When you say it like that, it makes me kind of jealous and still get a fat paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't even have to work. He still gets paid. Now, with that, I think we buried the lead a little bit. You making any transfer moves this game week?
Man, I think we're both sitting on a stack of free transfers, right? How many do you have this week?
I have 3 free transfers. I have
No.
a
So
Rico
do I.
Lewis sized.
So do I. It's just like, do I just roll and have four? I don't know.
So I'm actually caught in a little bit of a problem situation because like you, I have Greaves as kind of my emergency backup if Gabrielle does not play. Now, I am pretty confident that I'm going to be starting Lewis Hall. He plays Leicester at home. And
Must start.
Gabrielle, Gabrielle's not going anywhere from my starting 11, so he'll be in place whether he's fit or not. Now, the question is, do I kind of just be okay going with Powell away at Forest? Probably not a clean sheet, but he will start. Or do I get a little frisky, maybe risk Greaves that he plays against Wolves away? That could be a tighter. I don't know. Who Wolves stink. Can we say that out loud? Black Wolf isn't here.
Yeah,
Who's
my
getting
eight.
more points? Pau Torres, who doesn't have goal threat, or Jacob Greaves, who kind of has goal threat against one of the worst defenses in the league, both away.
I would not be touching those players. Just run them out. Who cares? Everyone's getting 1 and 2 pointers. Not worth the
Yeah,
transfer.
that's what I feel too. I kind of feel like if I don't use the move, I'm just gonna kind of fall into a couple 1 and 2 pointers. But if I transfer out Rico Lewis, I will be going for a premium defender, whether it's Timber, whether it's VVD or Trent. Now that would require that I use 2 moves. So if I do that, then Enzo will come in for Embomo. That will make my benching headaches a lot easier for the long term and also set my team up into a slightly better structure. The issue I'm having with that move is I'm not so sure selling Mbomo is the clear and obvious better move than selling Semenyo because Mbomo at least has proven he has haul potential. Semenyo is just kind of a guy. And yes, he takes a lot of shots, but where are all those FPL points that we've been promised?
I
So
know, right? It's been
kind of
frustrating.
feel,
He's blanking his life away, even though he's taking a ton of shots, and the quality of his shots have been very poor. They've started off the first 6 game weeks being pretty solid. He was getting some assists as well, and now it's just dried up completely. So I also have Semenyo. I'm planning to just bench him and start him Bomo, but ideally, I think I'm going to move 2 of those players and make him Bomo into like Bruno and Semenyo into Enzo. That's one thing I'm weighing up, but I don't think I'll do it this week because Bruno plays City and it's a big high scale game where I think Pep can bring his A game. So I might just put that transfer out a couple weeks, but I would love to have a stronger starting 11 and get out of the Semenyo slot.
wow, I'm actually going to call you out on this. You're starting Mbomo over Semenyo, with one playing away at Chelsea, the other playing home to West Ham. I think that's a mistake, actually. I think Semenyo has the higher points potential because Bournemouth at home, similar to Brentford at home, are pretty good teams. They're not where they are in the standings without their home form. And so I think I'd maybe flip flop those. Not that it's a huge difference, just
It's
Mbomo
it's
has the
it's basically
abilities.
it's open play only for Semenya, where you're gonna have set pieces, corners for Mbomo in a match where, like, when you think about Brentford, they're not gonna park the bus. They're gonna play counter-attacking football. They're gonna send Wissa straight through the Chelsea defense. There's gonna be opportunities. This could be a 3-0 game that Chelsea's up and they still get a consolation goal, which Chelsea have been pretty known to do. It's not like they've got many clean sheets.
That's
So
fair.
I think that's, I by no means am I thinking that Brentford are going to win that match, but just based on the game state, I think that's where the points could come in. And Semenyo could haul, but I think he's only delivered 1 goal in 8 matches, which is a
Yeah, he's feeling
massive
piss.
dry spell. Yeah, massive dry spell.
Yeah, so a lot of players potentially on our chopping block. Now, are there any names that are kind
Oh
of
my God,
out of
let's
left
add
field?
to that. I got Cunha, I got Joe Pedro, I got Van Heck, I got Eight Nori. That's why I need to stockpile these transfers. The rest of these players are garbage. I have like 6 good players, and the rest are just muff cabbage.
Well, listen, you haven't gotten points for them recently, but at least you have a good goalkeeper. I have problem spots in each of my 4 positions. I have a red card in defense. I have a Verbruggenator in goal. I have these two wanting mid-priced and low-priced midfielders that I don't love. And
It's
then I
rough.
have Jao Pedro who keeps blanking, and Solanke, he's on the plank. If he doesn't get a return against Saints, he's not coming back anywhere close to my FPL team the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean that just seems like a nice Isak move to me. Otherwise, you go all the way down and funnel that money back into midfield. But all right, we're up in the air. Let's see what happens in Champions League. Maybe there's a big injury, and then we have to pivot some more of our funds. But thank you very much for tuning into the pod this week. We're sending our love to Dan as he recovers from a recent procedure, and he will hopefully be back with us next week, where we will have a special guest. We will tease that on social, but we're very excited to have one of the largest content creators out there be joining our pod very soon.
Yeah, and it's a perfect time for them to jump on the podcast because their team will be featuring in a massive match on the weekend. So we can't wait to host them. We can't wait to bring another fun episode to you. For Bucks, for Brian, we are at FPL USA Press Play. Find us on social at that handle at FPL USA Press Play. And we look forward. Hope you give us a follow and to more green arrows and hauls to come this weekend in game week 16. Bye,
Happy
Brian.
holidays. Happy holidays, baby. It's a festive fixture run to remember. We'll see you next week.